Hi, I'm Joe Hobson with Midwest Trading Horticultural Supplies. Thank you for watching our video today. Part of who we are is within our mission is understanding our customers' needs, creating solutions, and then educating you about what those might be. The purpose of today's education session is the usage of bags versus bulk in certain applications that should be of value to many of you that are landscapers or doing anything out in the landscape arena. Replacing all of your bulk uses with bagged is not the answer. This is really about trying to find very specific targeted areas that do make sense for your operation. Labor is one of your most valuable aspects in many respects and should be continually reviewed for efficiencies, and we consider that in our product selections and some of the messages that we do for you. It is here that you will find the greatest return on using bags versus bulk in certain applications. True, when you first look at bulk cost versus bag, you will immediately see it is more expensive. However, when you don't stop there and do a little more thinking and possibly even apply the math behind that, you will notice that's not the case. And again, specifically when you're measuring your labor time, the labor piece is because using bags, particularly for jobs that are 1 cubic yard and smaller, and some other value points I will speak of, they become very competitive and in many cases actually have a good return. The greatest return is when you save X amount of time. What did the crew do with their time? If in fact they moved on to more productive work, the value of that is much more than just the cost of the labor or those labor savings dollars. So when you measure that return, it clearly paints a much better situation. Most of the value we have seen, and as we've contemplated this, again, is going to be in those smaller jobs. It could be a small planting where you're using a soil amendment, and it could be in just touching up jobs where there's a problem and you don't need a big bulk quantity. That's where we see most of those. Quite a bit of our information you can find on our websites regarding this. We do have a flyer that explains our whole bag program, the products, all of that is certainly there. But we also have a piece on there, which I have in my hands right now, about big jobs, small jobs and big savings. And it also explains some of the value points, and I'm just going to touch on a few of those now. When you're using, and having been in landscaping for 25 years, I'm certainly well in tune with some of those realities that you all deal with. One of the points is no more mess. When you're doing a small amount of work, if you're able to just carry a few bags in versus get the wheelbarrow out and all that stuff, it's quick, it's easy, and it's not messy. And there are other aspects to that versus a bulk pile, staining things, etc. It's also easy to use bags to touch up problems. So you get to your office building that you're maintaining and there's a small mulch or some kind of a problem where something's gotten disturbed. And if you have this on your trailers, which we would recommend, it's easy to store a couple of bags in your trailers and you have them at all times. That way you can respond immediately to a customer's property, and when they see those minor efforts from you, that normally goes a long way and they appreciate it, versus the crew has to make a note and feed a supervisor, and maybe next week they remember to bring some material to touch it up. Just leave a few bags of some of these products in your trailer, it'll go a long ways. You know, we talked about the time and the money is saving, and I can speak for a long time about that in regards to loading, unloading, storage, things of that nature. But some of the simple points there is when you look at how you might be doing now with bulk material, commonly you will bring in large quantities into your yard, or you may go pick up large quantities elsewhere, which is time and extra time to do that. But even within your own yard, the crew has to stop, unhook their trailer commonly, go over to the pile, get loaded. How much actually got loaded, which I'll speak to next. And there's several movements in that, versus if you simply strategically had some of these piles of bag material, they don't even have to unhook their trailer. They could just come over, throw away bags onto the truck or into the trailer and move on. So you save quite a bit there. And when you take these small savings times that crew all year, times however many crews you have, it becomes a very meaningful number, much less just the fact you're treasuring your labor hours because it's difficult to have enough of that now. I understand that. So many touch points on that whole movement. I spoke about the accuracy. Yes, accuracy starts with estimating. Estimating is rarely perfect, but certainly in bags that say 1.5 cubic feet, there's 1.5. In bulk loads, yes, we do use a volumetric scanner. Commonly, we're currently the only one in the market that's doing that. But even when you have that scan, how much are you putting in the truck out of your bucket? That becomes quite subjective. So we feel that this accuracy does a great job. The other thing I would say is when you are inaccurate, it's easier and more efficient for the crews to have a few extra bags and not go over and get the right amount. The bags can remain in the truck. They don't get messed up with your other materials in the truck. It's easy when they get back to the yard to simply slide those off versus, as you can picture, I'm sure, if all these scraps and things from the job are thrown into the truck, you have leftover compost or bark mulch or whatever it might be, then they have to get back to the yard and go sort all that out. So the sorting of this stuff out is much easier. And lastly on that topic, if you are overfilling the truck to make sure they don't have to go back to the yard, what happens to the material? Likely that material is being used on the job anyway. So it's extra trips back and forth to the truck to apply it. It could be that they're applying something too deep, whether it's your soil amendment or your mulch, because they have it on the truck and they just want to get it off, much less you actually use the material. So when you stop and measure and really think about all those points, having something to certainty and volume, ease of moving it around and sorting out a truck at the end of the day, I believe can be of great value to you. There's also equipment things in there. I touched on that just a little bit, but when you're having unhooked trucks and trailers and rehook them up, just that motion, going to fill the truck at the yard, having to go dump at the end of the day, at the job site, I have to unhook my trailer so I can move up to get the wheelbarrow behind the truck. The bags are easy. They cut out a lot of those movements and the potential of damage to your trucks, the wires on the trailers in and out, and finally wearing out, etc. And the last thing I would comment on today is specifically about the bag versus bulk is the weather itself. You know, they're not 100% waterproof, but they're certainly much more waterproof than just a raw pile of compost. There are ways they do come shrink wrap, the pallets, which is near waterproof, but as you open one, they become a little bit susceptible, but there's still far less chance of getting wet than versus a bulk pile. Just two quick specific examples of some of our bag product that you could find value in what we're talking about. The One Step, this is a very high-end, awesome soil amendment, and it's one step because everything's in there, the fertilizer, micro-raising, you name it. One of the things we have learned with this product through testing, extensive testing and follow-up testing this year, is you can apply this 1 inch over your summer flower beds before you till them. You don't need to till. Just put this over, plant right through, water. You don't have to fertilizer that season, you're done. So that saves a lot of potential mess trying to rototill, a lot of extra effort, equipment, etc. that you can save by simply using One Step. So again, is it possibly more expensive than the current bulk amendments you are using? I would expect so, but when you factor in all that labor savings there and throughout the seasons, there's no question it becomes cheaper quickly and you end up with an end result. Lastly, if you use that strategy, you will develop a pine bark mulch over the top because some of this is pine bark and it will work its way to the surface and your flowers look like you intentionally mulch them, which many people want to do, but they can't find the money or the time to do that. And when they do that, they usually use a product like this. This product does it all. The last one I would point to is our all-purpose potting soil, back to labor savings. First off, it is the only material that is specifically engineered and with all the products in combination for outdoor usage with landscapers in mind and all the value points to minimize labor hours to take care of these flowers. The results are fabulous. You won't find a potting mix that can do as good of a job from what I've seen anywhere. But we also have the fertilizer in it, so you don't have to buy fertilizer and store it, or liquid feeding. All that's gone. All you have to do is use this, and all those things are taken care of. So there are just a few points that share with you. Again, if you're interested, feel free to reach out to our office to discuss these materials further. If somebody really wants to have a more in-depth conversation about your company and its operation and some of these points or more that I might be able to assist you with, please ask for me, Joe Hobson, and I'd be happy to accept a call. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.